Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Relishing Dev podcast where we devour everything in the TWD universe. I'm Dawn.
I'm Barb.
I'm Eliza.
And tonight we have a special guest, IronE Singleton, our very own T Dog, is in the house.
Woo! Yes. Welcome, IronE, to Relishing the Dead.
It is my pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're kind of hard to hear. You might want to scoot up
Oh,
to the mic. There you go.
let me get a little louder. Let me put on my stage voice.
Your
Thank
stage.
you so much for being here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, very much so.
Is
We
that
know we've got a limited time, and we're going to try to say everything we need to say in 20 minutes, and hope that one day we can have you back.
20 minutes?
That's what they told me. I only had you for 20 minutes.
Dang, it. Let's make
Dang,
it.
Yeah. So you are an OG to The Walking Dead, but the first thing I want to talk about that caught my attention was this: blindsided by The Walking Dead, from surviving the streets to slaying the geeks. Tell us about your book, IronE.
My book, wow, I'm glad you mentioned that first because that basically encapsulates my walk here on this earth. And to sum it up, the leitmotif is about truth and love. It details my life story of growing up destitute in the inner city of Atlanta during the 70s and the crack epidemic of the 80s, and having run the streets and selling drugs, which you should not do anybody because that's bad stuff and it only leads to bad outcomes, which is what it did for a lot of my friends and family members. I ended up at the age of 18. I lost my mother. She was addicted to alcohol and crack. And I lost her at 18 from HIV complications.
Mm.
And so I found myself um, wanting to not carry on. I wanted to die, basically. I wanted to either, if I didn't die, I wanted to go out there and hurt somebody or be hurt because I just didn't care anymore because I had lived 18 years of misery and I was just done. I was ready to tap out, ladies, and I had an epiphany. And God spoke to me at that time. I was in the room and I was on my knees and I was crying. And then this light came through my window. It was actually from a car that came around the corner on the street where I lived, and its headlights just shone through my window and reflected off my wall. But the light was unlike any light that you will probably experience in a normal lifetime, right? A natural life. And so God spoke to me at that time and told me that in order for my mother's death to have meaning, I have to be willing to give truth and love and understand that her life won't have been lived in vain. Now, in order because I didn't understand, I was like, why? How was it that my mother died at 36 years of age?
Iron, not to interrupt you, babe, but your sound is going in and out. I don't know if you've got a phone next to your computer or.
Yeah, oh yes, I do. Is that not a good thing?
I think that might be affecting and throwing some reverb back.
Okay. Ah, okay. Now, what's the distance I can have? Nearby at all? Or no?
Yeah, you may just have to kind of be closer to the microphone.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah. Besides, we can see your cute face.
And that gets me closer to your cute face. Yes.
Good.
All right. So at that moment, Kate, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was searching for understanding because I just did not understand why I lost my mother at such a young age. She was 36 years old. I was 18. And God told me that, listen, if you want her life to have meaning, then it has to come from how you live your life. God said, you live your life every day by giving everybody you come into contact with, truth and love. You respect them, be kind to them, regardless of how they are towards you, because love always overcomes the negativity, the hate, and all of that stuff. So God said that will be the difference maker in this walk here on this earth, and it will bring fulfillment into
Yeah.
your life. Is that better? Am I sounding better?
Yeah, a little bit. You're still kind of like in a barrel, but it's okay.
Okay, I'm gonna bring it closer to me. That means we may lose our buddy right here. We may lose T Dog a little bit.
We may lose T Dog.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
I
Not
love
again.
I loved how the book was from the streets to faith to football to the stage. And so you went through those and you found your path. You actually have a school that you have now for IronE. Um, what was it? IronE in your educational performance school. And from the stage, that brought you into was Walking Dead. Well, you were on The Blind Side as Alton, and then into The Walking Dead as an OG.
Yeah, so I went from being an OG in the blind side to being an OG in the Walking Dead. Now, a lot of aspiring actors think that it's as simple as just saying, I want to act. And so where do I go? And, go ahead and hire me, casting director. But it was a long walk. I studied theater and speech communications. I double majored in college. When I graduated from college in the 20th century, back in good old 1898, it took me 10 years to get an agent, ladies. It took me 10 years. I could not get an agent. And so I did local community theater. I did low budget to low budget movies, film work, and then eventually I wrote my one man show, which actually turned into my book, Blindside of the Walk. But initially it was called IronE the Resurrected, because I felt that God spared me so I could share my story.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I wrote my one man show, I performed it in 2008 in Atlanta, Georgia at the 14th Street Playhouse. Once I performed my show, a third casting director, Chase Harris, he was an agent at the time. Now he's a casting. And he reached out to me, he's out of talent, and they said they wanted to represent me. They started representing me, and a few weeks after that, I got an audition. My first feature film audition was for a movie called The Blind Side.
Wow.
Cool.
And so shortly, it sounds like I'm really screaming, ladies. So
Yeah.
it sounds like I'm really loud. But am I?
No.
Okay. So weeks after they picked me up, I got the audition for The Blind Side. I booked it as Alton, and then within a year of that, because The Blind Side became the biggest sports movie ever, bigger than the greatest sports movie ever made, bigger than the greatest movie ever made, and that is Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It beat my favorite movie at the box office.
Yeah.
And that was a blessing right there. And
Yeah.
within a year of that, I booked The Walking Dead. So you talk about striking gold, if you will, or whatever, 2 times within a year.
Yeah.
Like
You had some blessings coming down on you, that's for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, I know that Barb and Dawn are real anxious, as we all are, to kind of jump in about T Dog, because he was truly a fan favorite and so beloved.
Yeah.
So gals, you hop in there, and we got T Dog over in the corner. If you guys in the audience can see, we got dead T Dog, dead T Dog.
We need that.
So, what does T-Dog the character mean to you as an actor and a person?
T-Dog, I basically created T-Dog based on my life story to a great extent. When I was searching for T-Dog, I said T-Dog grew up just the way I grew up, and I brought him all the way through. Of course, I elaborated on my life story. He experienced all those things, but when he got to college, he basically became a business major. Because I said that T-Dog being a theater major, he would be a little bit too dramatic. So I made him a business major, and then after that, he went on and he got a job as a teller at the bank. He was highly involved at the church, and he was a deacon at the church, and so he was basically trying to give back any way he knew how to just make his life more meaningful. So that's who T-Dog was to me, and there were so many similarities. Oh, hey, Bob, there you are, Bob. I see you.
Oh, I love that was your backstory. Look who joined us, Carol. Couldn't miss her T-Dog.
Hey, Carol. So the date didn't last long. I heard you were on a date with Daryl, Carol.
No, normally Wednesday night is date night, but we are staying in because it's a little cold. So plans change. It's okay.
I love that about how you and T-Dog are so similar that you developed your character around your own life.
Yes. It makes it easier also as an actor too. So whatever I can take from my life and plaster that onto my character, then I do that. I don't have to do as much work with my character work.
That's great. Barb?
Do you have any of the actors from The Walking Dead that you acted with that are still friends of yours today? Do you keep in touch, close family?
Not as much as I used to, but some here and there, like Lou Temple, who plays Axel, and Vincent Ward, who plays Oscar. Bernthal and I here and there, a lot of those, they've gone on and become A-list. A-list these days, so they have a lot going on. I try not to pester them so much. We talk when we can, but the one thing about COVID that really bothered me was the fact that it broke up a lot of that camaraderie we had. We would stay in touch much more because we would see each other out and about on the circuit, around and here and there. But when COVID hit, then a lot of that came to a halt. But I think that those three, and then those three are the ones I may perhaps keep in touch with most, as far as, I guess, the bigger names you would say. Melissa, every blue moon, or Steven, I'd shout them out. Like when Steven won the award, I'd shout them out, congratulate them, and they get back or something like that. But we don't hang out like that.
Yeah.
Not like we used to.
Carol, do you have a question for T before we jump in on our two viewer questions?
No, I just wanted to see his pretty face.
She just wanted to tell you how much she loves you.
I'm still obsessed, IronE. I'm still obsessed.
So we do have a lot of viewers that are watching, and they're all saying how much they love T-Dog and how much they love you, and you're awesome. And a couple of our viewers submitted 2 questions early on so that we could ask you because we knew we were limited. Sandy Morrison, who is our Patreon interviewer, said she would love to hear about the scene with you and Michael Rooker on the rooftop, and especially the writing aspect of the powerful lines between those 2 characters, because it was pretty down and dirty.
Yes. Number one, Frank Darabont is a legend, so I want to start off by saying that, and for his brilliant writing. Number two, Rooker and I actually talked a couple of weeks ago at Atlanta Comic Con, so we had a bonding session. I bum rushed his booth, and shout out to my incredible talent coordinator, Aniston Bradsdale. So she was so fidgety and shaky, she got an opportunity to meet him and talk to him for a moment. So that was a good thing. And shout out to my technical manager as well, Lita, who is so diligent. She covers all the stuff. But anyways, back to that scene. Michael Rooker, number 2, is a living legend as well. And I was so excited to do the scene with him just because of his history in Hollywood. And here I am, a newbie, fish out of water, if you will. And we were about to do this really intense scene on the rooftop. I was just excited. I was like, let's get it on. Let's get it on. And I'm glad that Frank Darabont did not shy away from the risque stuff. And I think that is what pulled people in.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't scare him. On the networks, of course, ABC, NBC, because it was pitched to the bigger networks and they declined. And probably in part because of the language, because of the subject matter.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that Frank Darabont had that in there because it opens up the floor to have the discussion about race and racism and how we can solve that issue. And it was a great. Oh, look who showed up, Carol! I got a kitty here myself, a little Atlas. What's kitty's name? I'll get back to it.
That's Yumiko, and I have Magna as well, but they're all around. Go ahead.
Okay. So it was great so that we could open up the floor to have the discussion about that which is real.
Yes.
And race and racism, those are real things in our society. And it was great how he introduced Daryl later on to come on to serve as kind of like that opposing force to Merle's hate. Given they have the same background, but Merle's hate was countered by Daryl's love.
Yes.
Right? And we saw this growth in Daryl that eventually seemingly overtook Merle towards his end days. Kind of affected Merle to a certain extent. I don't think he was as hateful an individual, although he didn't become this perfect individual. But you could see some growth having taken place in him. And that's
But we were all doing this. We were all going, yes, he dropped the key. He dropped the key. You know?
But let me say this. A lot of people think that I dropped the key or he dropped the key on purpose.
Yeah.
When it wasn't on purpose because, like I told you, my character was similar to who I am as a person.
Yeah, I don't think T-Dog had the malice in him to do that. I think it was accident.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Accidentally on purpose.
And the minute he would have gotten on his handcuffs off, Merle would probably beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And we would have had a showdown.
So our other viewer question is from Maisie Snyder, and you can talk about it because it's right behind you. Did you take anything from the set?
Just this, which I think Eliza tried to accuse me of stealing it, but I was like, no, I didn't steal this. This without permission? No, I actually had permission. Greg Nicotero gave this thing to me. There are two of these in the world. I have one, and Nicotero has the other in LA at his K&B Studios, I think. So he's a brilliant special effects artist.
Yes.
And this thing is quite valuable to me. This is invaluable. This is very special to me. So this, along with, you remember the shield?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Daryl, aka Norman Reedus, presented me with the shield, and Nicotero presented me with this body cast.
That's fantastic.
Yes, on my final day. So it was great.
Wow.
How long did it take to make that body cast?
Okay, so I sat down. I showed up and I sat down in a chair, like this. I had to close my eyes. Is that matching?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
So I sat down for 45 minutes in a chair and I could not move.
Oh no.
I could not move for 45 minutes, and they plastered all this white pasty stuff all over my body, my head, my chest, as much of this as you see. And I had to sit there and wait on it to dry. And then after about 45 minutes, Nicotero and the rest of his team, they chipped away at it, and they just pulled it off of me. And
Wow.
so I sent it to LA, and I think it took maybe a week, if my memory is serving me correctly, took about a week for them to get it back, a week or two to get it back.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we've only got 2 minutes left. We're
Oh,
I know. See, you cannot come on a show with
well,
4 women and have a time limit on us.
okay. I think, could we just
Keep going. Not
Three.
worry about
3, 4, 4 minutes? You said how many minutes?
We've only got 2.
2. Okay. I want
If you get me in trouble with Aniston, I'm going to fuss at you.
I'll get in trouble.
Okay, that's good.
6 minutes.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Minutes, Dougie Fresh, you're on.
Rest in peace. Let's just give him a moment. Rest in peace.
Was there anyone, you said that you got really kind of close with Lou Temple and Vincent, and we had Vincent on our show, he and Nick Gomez. Was there anyone else that you felt a connection with and a bond with?
I felt a connection and a bond with everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody, because again, it takes me back to when I was on my knees after the same day my mother died, and God said, make this life mean something. Make it count. How do you make it count? Just like when I saw you at my booth, there was a connection with you.
Oh,
yeah.
So what I tend to do is, and the first thing I learned, and one of the first things I learned in my speech communication class was disclosure begets disclosure. When I got to the point to where I didn't have all the shame of having grown up in the inner city and living in poverty and all that stuff, I started to share my story.
Mm-hmm.
And in sharing my story, I realized that other people would share, would reciprocate that. And those are the moments that I had with my castmates on this show.
Yeah.
From Melissa McBride to Sarah Wayne to Andy Lincoln to Rita Slightly. He's a harder shell to crack. Our moment. Rita and I had our moment. Bernthal for sure, because Bernthal reminds me of my best friend from high school. So Scott Wilson.
yeah.
Especially Scott Wilson. So because Scott Wilson and I had a mutual acquaintance, we had mutual acquaintances, and he told me about a low budget movie that he saw. I was like, you saw that movie? It was called Somebody's, and it was directed and produced by a college friend of mine, and who ended up connecting with Roger Ebert.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah. And so Scott Wilson had a relationship with Roger Ebert and Nate Cohn. Nate Cohn was the glue that brought all that together. So when I first met Scott on the set, he said, I enjoyed you in Somebody's. I said, what? You saw that movie? It was a movie, not many people saw it. And I was like, wow, thank you. And Frank Darabont, I didn't know much about Scott Wilson, but I knew that Frank Darabont loved him. And if Frank loved him, I loved him. He raved so much to the entire cast and crew. He was like, Scott Wilson's coming on, guys. Scott Wilson's about to be a part of the show. And so Scott and I ended up going into either my trailer or his trailer. I found out that he grew up in Atlanta just like I did. He was an athlete, played basketball just like I did. So we just had so many things that bonded us. His wife's name is Heaven Lee. My daughter's name is Heaven. Not to mention the fact that his wife is as lovely as my wife. They bonded instantly. We bonded instantly. So whenever we got together, it was just.
So y'all were brothers from another mother.
Yes, we were. Yes, we were. Even though he was so many decades older than I was.
But we've heard that from a lot of the castmates, even in their interviews, is that Scott Wilson was like any other.
Yeah. Special individual. And I know he's with us now. He is ubiquitous. He is all around us because he was just that type of spirit. He touched everybody he came in contact with. So,
Okay, guys, you may have time for one more each. You better hop on it.
Go ahead, Dawn.
So Barb and I love to go to locations, Walking Dead locations, and the farm, of course, is a unicorn for us. We'll never get to go there. But do you have a memory or a behind the scenes story you like to share from season 2?
Oh, which one? We've got. The story I tell most from season 2 is about Reedus and his interesting sense of humor. So a lot of people think that because he's kind of quiet, seemingly kind of shy, he's not. He has a great sense of humor. And this one particular morning, this was the day we shot the well walker scene. And I got on the van and I had some breakfast and I had maybe some eggs, let's say eggs, but the sausage links. That's the key part of this whole thing. I had some sausage links that did not look the most savory or the most aesthetically. It didn't look too good. I was hungry and I was going to eat my sausage links. And so the first thing Rita says when he gets on the van is, "What's that, boo?" I said, "Oh my goodness." So that basically hit my appetite right there. And I said, maybe I don't want this. So we got to the set, we were shooting the well walker scene, and that ugly, grisly looking well walker was so disgusting and hideous looking. What Rita said, the thought of what Rita said, and looking at that walker just ruined my appetite. So when we started shooting, I couldn't stop gagging.
Oh.
Yeah, I couldn't stop gagging. So Billy, our director, he came over to me. He said, "IronE, these are really good choices you're making, but let's do it without the gagging." That is not a decision. I can't help the gagging. I can't help the gagging because of Rita's. But here's the thing. Fast forward to season 3. So this story carries over into season 3, episode 1, when we were in the house. You remember how we opened and we kicked that door in?
Yeah.
Took care of those walkers. There was some poop in the living room there. Like all of this stuff wasn't just done by the set. Some of the stuff was just left there. By the fireplace, and I think everybody knew about it except for Lincoln and Reedus. Needless to say, I did not tell Reedus about it. Had we told Lincoln about it, he probably would have told Reedus. I didn't tell Reedus about it, so they ended up stepping into. I think Reedus stepped into the poop. I think, but yeah, that was called karma. What you did, Reedus, for ruining my appetite? Yes.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Did you have a death dinner?
Death dinner, yes. We all had, well, I won't say we all, it probably stopped. I don't know if they kept it going, but I do know that the mastermind behind that was the mother of the set, that was Sarah Wayne Valley.
Right.
So, she came up with the brilliant idea of celebrating everybody's time on the set by having a death dinner. And so the death dinner was actually for the two of us, because we both died in the same.
That's right. Yeah.
So that death dinner was for me and Sarah. Yeah, it was fun.
I believe they did keep that tradition going. I think, I believe they did keep that tradition going. Did you get the call?
I got the call.
You got the call.
Yeah, Glenn Mazzara was our showrunner, and I got many calls that I ignored.
I'm not answered. I ain't answering that call.
I kind of had the idea what the call was about because I hadn't received many, if any, phone calls from Glenn Mazzara. So when my phone started ringing, and I'm like, Glenn Mazzara? I'm not answering that. The phone rang like a death call. It was like, I didn't answer. So left the message. He said, "IronE, He said, I need to talk to you. Please call me back. And so he finally, okay. So he finally called. I finally called him back, and he told me. He said, "You have been fantastic, Pete, but it's time to say goodbye to him." And they all told me, they said, "You're going to love how your character goes out." So, and that's what it ended up being. So I'm getting the signal.
You're getting yelled at. Tell Addison it's not my fault. It's not my fault.
I know it's something. So I'm in trouble. But
Hey, we are
Thank you
so
so much.
yeah, we are so grateful. Thank you.
thank you so much, ladies. I love you. I appreciate you. Continue putting good in the world,
Yes.
making this world a better place. Thank you so much for doing that. We're all in this together.
And
Yes.
come back and join us again.
Yes.
So sooner than later.
All right.
Right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye, hon.
Bye.